Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is your truly TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast live on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your podcast or audio or anything. Thank you very much for checking us out. I got a special guest with me on this edition. I got my big brother EJ Jones. What's going on, E?
What's up, man? How you doing? What's up, Who That Nation? Know y'all ready for the season?
I think a lot of people are ready for the season, man. But before we get started, man, we start talking about the New Orleans Saints. I just thought that it won't be only right that we wish our grandmother, Miss Maxine Williams Jones, a happy birthday. As you know, I mean, she is a card-carrying member of the Who That Nation. She loves the New Orleans Saints with all her heart and soul. So just want to wish her a happy birthday. E, you want to say anything, tell the people about our grandmother and how much she loved the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah. If you want to know how much my grandmother likes like the New Orleans Saints, just come to our house on Sundays or right before church. Make sure you have them scores ready because she could be acting throughout church. So my grandmama, she might get mad at me for saying this. I think she might be responsible for cutting church and watch Saints games. She might get mad at me saying that, but I think that's what she was doing.
Man, she loves the Saints, man, no doubt about that. And I think that's the reason why we have so much passion for the black and gold, man. I just remember sitting on the living room floor, listening to Saints games on the radio when they were blacked out in the early '90s, or the mid '90s when they weren't that good. And I just remember my grandmother always thinking that they're gonna win the game and so emotionally invested in the team, man. So happy birthday to her. We love you very much.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We're going to dedicate this episode to my grandmother, Miss Maxine Williams Jones. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about New Orleans Saints news, man. As you all know, this isn't Saints related, but quarterback Patrick Mahomes received a 10-year deal. Okay, the 10 years, I think it's about $450 million according to sources. It can balloon up to about $500 million, you know what I'm saying, if with incentives. So clearly, he is the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, and he is the highest paid athlete in history of sports. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, man. I feel like he's one of those people that deserves his contract. I know he got a lot of people out there that feel like, 10 years, I mean, that's a little bit much, but I heard a lot of things about Patrick Mahomes, him coming into the league. A lot of people felt like he was going to take the league by storm, had a lot of high expectations, and he exceeded expectations, man. I mean, he backed up Alex Smith his first year and then came in towards the end, and everybody just kind of seen a talent that he had. The first year as a starter, he became league MVP, and his third season, he won a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. So congratulations to him. Once again, this isn't Saints related, but what do you think about Patrick Mahomes' contract?
I mean, it's not really the 10 years to get me. It's the numbers. He said $450 million. I'm like, man, a lot of cities don't have $450 million or whatever. So you make it bank. I think somebody on ESPN put it on Facebook. They broke it down. I believe they said 100 some $1,000 each day he'll make.
Right.
They said how he'll make like $9,000 an hour. It went into all the numbers. The numbers is like crazy. But I found that out the other day. I'm like, man, I mean, who's to say that he's not worth that kind of money? Whether it be the years of the money or whatever. I mean,
right.
He was a good quarterback. Then he's young. He been to a championship, won a Super Bowl at about 24 years old. He only been in the league with 3-4 years.
Right.
I think that's pretty good or whatever. You never hear about him getting into trouble, off the field or nothing like that.
Right.
He was consummate pro. He kind of revived Andy Reid's career. Because, what was he before Patrick Mahomes came out or whatever? I mean, he had Alex Smith. Kind of, he like 63 or something like that. So this contract could take him until he's 73.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going nowhere no time soon.
Yeah, I just look at how Patrick Mahomes, what he did for so many different people. Number one, on the Chiefs fan as a whole, I mean, Chiefs for a long time, they were known as the team that was close but no cigars. Making it to the playoffs, not being able to get over that hump. You look at Andy Reid, a guy who led the Philadelphia Eagles to 5 straight NFC championship games, one Super Bowl appearance, didn't even win. He was known for being, a coach that can get you, what they used to say, they get you into the meeting, but he can't close the deal. You know what I'm saying? But Patrick Mahomes helped him, and now people look at him as probably the best head coach in football and a surefire Hall of Famer. I mean, you look at, all these different things that Patrick Mahomes has done and what he has done for people and how he has catapulted the careers and resurgence of the franchise that he plays for, man. I think he deserves the money just because of that, But the topic on tonight, the State of the Saints podcast, is about 10-year deals, man. And the question is, what Saints player do you see on a roster you would feel comfortable with giving a 10-year deal to? If you had a choice, okay? I mean, if you had a choice to give a player a 10-year deal on the New Orleans Saints, who would it be and why? I'll let you start, EJ.
Well, mine, I mean, the first name could probably be a no-brainer to a lot of people. That's Michael Thomas. I get a 10-year deal to him. I mean, you look at that production he had in the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Like, who gonna argue at that production or whatever?
Right.
He's rarely ever injured. I mean, he might take a game off or whatever, maybe rest. I haven't even heard him doing that.
Right.
So that'd be the first person I name. The next person will probably be a shot. That's Ryan Ramczyk. I'll probably get him a 10-year deal. The money might not be the same. Right. But I could see me maybe giving him like a 10-year deal or something like that. But I mean, other than those two, I don't really see nobody, in my opinion, that can get like a mega 10-year deal like that.
Right. Well, if I had a choice, number one would be Ryan Ramczyk. I think Ryan Ramczyk deserves to be that player that gets a 10-year deal. It's not like this is an anomaly or something like that. I think you have left tackle Tyron Smith for the Cowboys. I think he got a 10-year deal with them. But Ryan Ramczyk, that's the one person I feel like deserves a 10-year deal. And I say that he even deserves it over Michael Thomas because, Michael Thomas plays at a position where it's not if, but when you get hurt. I mean, it's just what it is, man. I mean, you can knock on wood, you can pray, and you can hope that he doesn't end up getting hurt. But, I mean, it happens, man. Wide receivers get hurt. But Ryan Ramczyk has always been a steady. I think he only gave up maybe 1 sack his entire career, man. I mean, he's been with the Saints for 3 seasons. He's a guy that nobody really talks about, and it's sad that he don't get the attention he deserves. And that goes to show you how good he is, man. If people forget that he's out there, he's so good. So the fact that they don't have to worry about him giving up big plays and all that kind of stuff, he flies under the radar and he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He didn't get an All-Pro or Pro Bowl selection this past season.
That's shame on the NFL right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're an offensive lineman and you forget about you, that's good and bad. It's good because if they know you, they're talking about you when you ain't doing your job. You're giving up sacks, you're letting people penetrate into the backfield and everything. But for him, if he's doing this job, nobody talks about it. He don't make the papers. I mean, he don't have the New Orleans beat writers down here talking about him and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's kind of good and bad, but it's a shame he didn't make a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, it's just awful the way that they treat Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, but he's a really good offensive lineman. I think he's the best right tackle in football. I don't think anybody can touch him. I don't think the second person, number 2, is even close to Ryan Ramczyk. And like I said, I would put Michael Thomas in that number because I feel like Michael Thomas is one of those guys that he's not going to let the money define him. He's not one of those guys that get his money and then all of a sudden he just, stops playing. He slacks off. I mean, he ended up getting paid in the middle of training camp last season, and his production didn't drop off one bit. I mean, it elevated. So those are the type of people that you want to give long-term contracts to. Those are the type of guys that you want to be, be a part of your franchise, to be the standard bearers for the franchise. I wouldn't say anybody like Alvin Kamara or anything like that, or even Marshawn Lattimore, because I feel like, man, when you're dealing with running backs, I mean, so what they say, 30 is the shelf life. You know what I'm saying? They might have a little tread on the tires the way the Saints actually, don't run the football and how they use running backs. But I wouldn't trust a running back to be be with a team for 10 years. Neither would I look at a cornerback to be in that position for 10 years. But it's interesting to, know will teams follow suit? Do you think like teams are going to be looking at Patrick Mahomes and him signing a 10-year deal? Do you think players are going to follow suit? And do you think that organizations are going to try to tie up some of these franchise players to long-term deals like Patrick Mahomes?
It might be kind of similar, but money-wise, no. I don't see nobody signing nobody to a 10-year, $450 million. I'm trying to think of a team of Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if he can get his team to say a Super Bowl,
right,
and maybe he don't even have to win it, he might be a recipient because for to get a contract like that, you got to be young, and they think you're in your prime.
Right.
Mahomes, 24 years old. I'm assuming Lamar's probably around that same age, 23, 24, something like that. I'm thinking those two probably the only people I can see getting that deal going into this year. Now, you might have rookies and stuff like that, people down the line that might get that kind of money, but those two right now, I could see probably be the only people that get a deal like that. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't name anybody else. And it'd be hard to justify giving somebody other than a quarterback that kind of money. Because you see this money going to a defensive end or a running back or a wide receiver or something. Like, I can't see that.
Oh, no. I mean, I can't. No, I can't see any other position getting that type of money. I'm talking about the length of years. Maybe they would be the highest paid person at their position, but it would be a long-term 10-year deal. Is what I'm saying. Like, I'm thinking like maybe a wide receiver, get a 10-year 200 or 215 or something like that. Like something like that where teams look at wide receivers and they have like super talented. They're like really, worth every penny that they get. And like would they be able to stretch their contracts out? That's what I'm just thinking on that. But we're gonna go ahead and go to the chat, man. Go give a few shouts out here. We got Jerry Poor on the line, says State of the Saints podcast. What up, TJ Jones? What's going on, Jerry? We got Joe giving a shout out. Thank you very much, Joe, for checking us out. Jermaine checking in. We also have Annie, who says that's the only two. That's the only two people they can think of. We also have Chemo Slice says what's up, TJ? So thank y'all very much for checking in, being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. We're talking about 10-year deals, and we're also going to be talking about plugging the holes. The New Orleans Saints, they have one of the best teams according to Pro Football Focus. They're ranked number 2 among teams when it comes to rosters. The number 1 is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2 is the Saints. But, I mean, you can always look to improve your team. There's always room for improvement. So, I got to ask you, man, looking at the Saints roster as stacked as it is and as talented as it is, what position do you feel like can help the Saints, maybe a player in free agency? What player do you feel can come into the Saints organization and can contribute right away?
Cloudy. That's the only one I could come up with. I mean, they need sacks. They need pressure, and from pressure, you get interceptions. And from interceptions, you get the ball back. By getting the ball back, you get touchdown. Right. It's simple for me. I mean, I got excited when Cloudy said it was down to the Cowboys and the Saints. So they need sacks. I mean, they need pressure. That's like the one person I can see like really benefiting their defense or whatever, like right off the bat or whatever.
Right.
If they keep coming in, barring an injury, he give you at least 10 sacks. At least. Not that I'm giving up on Davenport. I mean, he could be a good rotational defensive end for this year.
Right.
But I figure he can learn something the day getting clouded. So I think it will be him.
You know what, E? I gotta be honest, man. I really just don't understand like what's the big deal about Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe I'm just in that small, minority, but I just don't get the hype. You know what I'm saying? I really just don't. Like, what has this guy actually done in order for us to just continue to get this attention that he's been getting? You know what I'm saying? When you look at in free agency, you're looking at him. This guy never had double-digit sacks, and it's pretty sad when you think about it, like because he played opposite of J.J. Watt, who was the best defensive end in football for at least about 4 or 5 years. I mean, I just don't understand the hype. Like, I get he can contribute to a team. Yes, I understand that he has talent. I understand the athleticism, the freak of nature type of, athleticism that he possesses. But I just don't understand, like, why everybody just go all wild and crazy every time this guy, name comes up. Now, if he end up going to the Saints, I would be happy. But if he doesn't go to the Saints, I wouldn't lose any sleep. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't feel like this guy is, like, transcended. I feel like he's just a cog on the wheel. And that's one of the main reasons why he's still out there. It tells you everything you need to know about Jadeveon Clowney right now. If he is as good as everybody's saying that he is, if he's as hot as everybody's saying that he is, if he's the man like everybody's saying that he is, why is he still out there? Why isn't he getting the money that he felt like he should have got the first time? And to answer that question, I have to say, because I don't feel like people are buying the hype either. I'm just not a fan. Like, I feel like he's not all people make him out to be. People, inbox to me and ask me, man, what you heard about Clowney? What you heard about Clowney? Like I can understand, like, if Drew Brees retired and maybe Tom Brady or something like that was out there. You heard about Tom Brady? Okay, I can understand that. Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowls, and he is arguably the best quarterback that ever played football. But Jadeveon Clowney, man, I just feel like people just hear his name and it just go back to the days at South Carolina when he was just a dominant defensive end. But times has passed, man. This guy's been injured on several occasions. He has taken plays off. He has not been consistent with the play. And I'm very skeptical about guys when they're in their contract years, they rise to the occasion. Why is it that you've been playing lights out all world when you were playing for Seattle, when you know that you had a contract year coming up, and now all of a sudden you want to play all good and stuff? I'm just not buying what everybody's selling from Jadeveon Clowney. I'm just not, man. I just feel like, I hate to say it, I feel like you're a little bit overrated, man. Yeah, I do.
I can understand that, especially since he does have the injury history and everything.
Right.
The thing about Cloudy that people might need to be leery about these organizations, overpaying for him.
Right.
Getting so excited that he's a free agent that you give him 2 years, $30-something million or something like that.
Right.
See, if I'm the Saints, I'm giving him. He got to take a show me contract or go to the Cowboys or somebody like that.
Right.
Because I wouldn't overpay for him. He has to really show me something to warrant another contract or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, E. Like, if he's as good as everybody's saying that he is, why is he still out there? There's nowhere in the world he would even be on the market if he is as good as he thinks of himself to be. I feel like Seattle would have locked him up, been like, okay, we seen enough, we gonna sign this guy. Or somebody would have went ahead and snatched him up really, really quick. It wouldn't have been no Cleveland Browns or anybody like that. It would have been Seattle or a Super Bowl contender. Nobody has been reaching out to Jadeveon Clowney.
And that's crazy because he's still in his 20s.
Exactly.
He's still kind of at the prime of his career. We're like 27, 28.
Yeah,
So it is crazy. I mean, it is a head scratcher. You would think some of these playoff teams that want to get the dude or whatever. It is kind of funny. I mean, you could blame it on COVID, I guess, if you want to. But it is kind of funny that he is still a free agent.
Yeah, and then another thing, when he say this team, what I'm saying, he's interested in this team, he's interested in this team. That don't mean the team is interested in you. You know what I'm saying? That's just like Antonio Brown. They got a story about him out right now saying that he said he would love to play with Tom Brady. That don't mean that the Glazer family are going to sign you. That don't mean that Bruce Arians and Tampa Bay organization are going to go out there and get you. I can say anything. I can be like, I want to play for the Saints. That don't mean the Saints going to sign me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that means absolutely nothing to me. You can say all that till you're blue in the face. But the question is that team interested in you? Would they invest in you? And looking at how his number is just continuously going down for his services tells me everything I need to know about Jadeveon Clowney. Superstar Louisiana boy says, I would take Griffin over Clowney any day, real talk. He's talking about Everson Griffin. What do you think about Everson Griffin, man?
I mean, he gave the Saints fits for years. I mean, he a little older. Like I said, it'd be the same deal with him, 1 year contract or whatever. I mean, with him, I mean, you pretty much know what you get. Getting
Right.
somebody that's pretty much a beast. You seen what he did with the Minnesota Vikings, all those dudes to cause havoc against the Saints.
Right.
I mean, that'll be a good you get a good veteran in the locker room and everything. I mean, you get somebody that, like I said, Davenport can learn from, and all the rest of the D-line people can learn from or whatever, and you're going to get somebody that can come in and produce pretty much. I mean, he's not going to play as many snaps as he did with Minnesota because the Saints, and they got rotational players. And he can be playing probably first, second down, probably third down sometimes, and he can be coming off of the field. So he have more time to go 100% pretty much.
All right.
But that's not a bad choice either. I mean, it would be a hard one to pick, Cloudy over him or vice versa. But I think that's something that you probably think about too if you want to go that route.
Dwayne says, "What's up? Why your brother, man, hiding in the dark?" Hey.
I'm trying. You see this light behind me. I'm trying to move around. I might have bring a lamp or something up here.
Just telling the truth, man. Just tell him my brother is in the witness protection program, so he gotta cover his face so nobody can see him. Him being on the show. So we gotta protect his identity.
No,
we gotta protect his identity, man. Jerry, the Chiefs traded ahead of us to get Mahomes because we were going to pick him. We didn't miss out. Chiefs just knew what they were doing. There was no chance the Titans would pick Mahomes. That is true, man. The Saints were sitting, I think, at like number 11. The Chiefs were at like number 12 or 13, and they ended up jumping in front of the Saints in order to draft Patrick Mahomes because I don't know who leaked the story. I don't know who said what, but it was stories that were going around that said the Saints had a very strong interest in Patrick Mahomes. And I guess the Chiefs got a little nervous and they jumped up. And I said this last night on the podcast. I said, ain't it funny that the two quarterbacks the Saints could have possibly had were NFL MVP in consecutive years? Like they could have got Patrick Mahomes if they would have been a little bit more aggressive, and they could have got Lamar Jackson the next year, but they decided to go with Marcus Davenport. And both of those guys won league MVP. And both of those guys could have easily been on the Saints team. So that's crazy. That's something I was just thinking about.
That remind you how fast this learning curve is for people to win now, pretty much. That's why people getting more impatient about drafting these players and being patient with them.
Right. They said they probably would have got Lattimore with the 10th pick if the Chiefs didn't give them draft capital. I don't know about that, man. I think they probably would have ended up getting Mahomes. I don't think they would have got Lattimore. Lattimore kind of fell into the lap of the Saints because if you looked at a lot of mock drafts, man, they had him like going in like the top 5. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I don't know how Lattimore slipped down to the Saints, but I'm glad he did, man. I'm glad he did. Joe says, man, we need somebody that can cover in the secondary. I don't know about that, Joe. I think the Saints kind of got that kind of, I think they got it sealed up just a tad bit, man. They got Lattimore on one side. They got Jack Rabbit Jenkins on the other. They still got some issues on the inside at the nickel. They got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who I feel like going to play the nickel, but they need somebody else on opposite of him. I don't know what these young guys possess. I don't know if Patrick Robinson is going to play much better. I mean, he's been dealing with injuries since he came back with the Saints. So I'm not sure about that. E, what do you think about the Saints secondary?
Like I said, getting pressure on the quarterback is important for the secondary or whatever. I mean, I don't think they have a bad secondary. I think they give up plays when they shouldn't be giving up plays.
Right.
I mean, I like Marcus Williams. I like the cornerbacks that they have. I think when it comes to Patrick Robinson, he might be the weakest link out of all of them. I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think he's going to be like a difference maker. I really do believe that. I predict him having maybe like 4 or 5 interceptions this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to say leading the cornerbacks in tackles and nothing, but I think he's going to get a lot of turnovers this year because this is first year starting.
Right.
So I think that He's gonna have a lot of interceptions. He's gonna have a pretty good year. But
Hmm.
it's always good to have too many cornerbacks. I know
Yeah.
Logan Ryan, he's a free agent. I
Right.
forget the others, but I know for sure that he's a free agent.
Drake Kirkpatrick is another one, which I'm very high on. You're not a fan of Drake Kirkpatrick?
I mean, what would he play?
He'll play on the inside.
He'll play in the inside against, I guess, some of the more shiftier wide receivers. You said, huh?
Yeah, and he'll be able to go, and he'll be able to guard tight ends because of his wingspan.
He's about 6'1". Yeah. I guess I can see that.
6'2". I think he's 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. He's a big physical guy, man. I mean, he just had so many injuries in Cincinnati, man. It kind of, it kind of messed up his speed and stuff like that, man. So when he first came out of Alabama, he was a cornerback that played on the outside, man. He was probably that new breed everybody was looking for. Everybody was looking for that next Richard Sherman type guy, and he fit the mold. And he did pretty good for his first couple of years in Cincinnati, and then he ended up getting injured, and he kind of slowed down, man. And I feel like he probably could have did much better if they put him on the inside. I think he could have beat up on smaller receivers and also be able to guard the tight end, man. Straight up.
They sure need somebody to guard a tight end, for goodness sake. Yeah, Lord. They get tortured by tight end. It's been like that for decades.
Man, yeah. What's going on, Tim, man? Thank you very much for the $10. TJ, I'm calling it now. The worst cornerback is Fred Thomas. Have you seen that compilation on YouTube called Worst Cornerback Ever? Thomas was getting smoked harder than a Cuban cigar. Thank you very much, Tim, man. Thank you so much for the $10. We really do appreciate it here, man. As you all know, we're doing a countdown of the worst Saints cornerbacks of all time. It's going to be this coming Monday, we got round 2 underway. Looking forward to that as we count down the worst Saints cornerback of all time. I'm not going to tell anybody who I think it is. Just tune in to round 2. We all know if you moved on to round 2, you probably suck pretty bad. So
we had some bad cornerbacks too.
Yeah, man.
We done had cornerbacks that was good for other teams. I ain't gonna say no name. They came to us and just stunk it up or whatever.
I mean, take your pick. Superstar Louisiana boy says I would take Griffin. We already read that one. But that's true, man. I would take Everson Griffin over him too. I hope we don't get him. I guess he talked about Jadeveon Clowney. They probably would have gotten Lattimore. I already read a few of these. I got to scroll down a little bit. So reading the same one. Hey, TJ, tell your brother EJ I knew it 4 weeks late, but I hope his birthday is as good as mine on June 14th. Nah, that's my other brother. That's my other brother, Jerry. My other brother, he was born on June 14th. The one, if you he was on the State of the Saints. He was the military veteran, man. My brother that was in the military did 3 tours in Iraq. This is my oldest brother. EJ is my oldest brother. I have 2 brothers, so he's the oldest.
And with December, baby.
Yeah. His birthday all the way in December, two days after Christmas, man.
You don't get no extra gift, either.
Right. You ain't never get nothing, man.
Everybody broke.
Mama used to be like, wait, the tax time for you.
Damn, I gotta wait. In April.
Gotta wait to get them taxes. Saints overall is loaded. The only thing they need is to not have mental breakdowns in the playoffs and don't take teams for granted. Oh man, that is a true testament right there. That's absolutely true. Because I feel me personally, I don't think the Saints take teams for granted like they used to anymore. Like you remember, like back in I have to say the mid to late 90s, the Saints would beat teams that they shouldn't beat and lose the teams that they should beat. Now it seems like they actually beat the teams they should beat and beat the teams they shouldn't beat. So I mean, it seemed like they handled that. The problem is with the New Orleans Saints to me is I don't know if guys just kind of crack under pressure. They start to get nervous a little bit and it start messing with them psychologically and they make mental errors. I'm not sure about that, man. But all I know is I'm just tired of seeing it. E, what do you think about the Saints players and the players that they have, the competition, and what do you think the issue is late in games that sometimes they just can't close the deal?
I mean, I think they get kind of overconfident at home, to be honest. Seems like when they get home, they get all excited, just expecting the fans to just carry them to a win. I mean, you kind of get that impression when you watch Minnesota last year or whatever for that game.
Right.
I mean, they came out sluggish. You remember that Falcons game from last year? That's how they came out in that game or whatever. You seen what happened to that. So it's almost like that Falcons game was almost like a microcosm of how this game was going to go pretty much.
Right.
I mean, you can't go into a playoff game just expecting a win. I mean, you got to actually put that work in or whatever. And even though those 2 turnovers was, I ain't gonna get back in. I'm still kind of salty about that loss.
Man, well, I do feel like this. I think there's some validity behind what you said when it comes to like the hometown, Superdome carrying them to a victory. I do feel like some of these Saints players, they do be paying attention to the press clippings. They do be paying attention to what the media be saying about them. You know, I like them, but Michael Thomas is one of those guys. I think they're one of those people. I think they're human at the end of the day, man. When things are being said about you, you know, it's hard for you not to look at what's being said. And I think when the media starts to put that whole stigma about the Superdome and it's loud and it's crazy and it's wild and they put this whole the Saints are unbeatable at home. I think they start to believe that stuff, man. And they think just because teams coming to the Superdome and it's loud, they feel like it's going to be intimidating to the teams, and all of a sudden those teams are going to lay down. But these teams aren't backing down when they come into the Superdome, and I think it's been proven. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they just need to play better. The fact that they actually have a hometown crowd, a true home field advantage, I feel like they need to take advantage of that and not just expect the fans just to be loud. Like give the fans reasons to be loud. Give them reasons to be into the game. You know, the Dome be rocking on Monday nights when the Saints blowing teams out and stuff. But they have to be just as consistent as they are on Monday night in front of a nationally televised audience as they are at 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, playing in a game that's just in a rotation of several other games around. So I feel like they really have to like step their game up, man. And most importantly, I just feel like, you know, these guys aren't rookies anymore. I think you can't like give them that pass, oh, they're young, oh, they're learning. Nah, man, these guys are going into their 4th season. People like Lattimore, people like Marcus Williams, PJ Williams going into like his 6th season. I mean, these guys have been together since they got to the league for the most part. So, I mean, these guys should be able to finish each other's sentences. They should be able to know what the other person is thinking. They should know what other person needs to be. I don't think they need to be point fingers because somebody's out of position. I mean, you've been with Dennis Allen throughout your entire career. You've been with each other throughout your entire career. It's time for you to step it up. I can't take any more excuses about them being young because they may be young according to their age and their birth certificate. But when it comes to playing in the NFL, nah, man, you're a seasoned veteran now. Between regular season and postseason experience, you're a veteran. So I can't take any more excuses from the New Orleans Saints secondary when it comes to these guys being young. I can't take that anymore. AJ says, just curious. How come Devontae Harris didn't make the list of worst corners? That was a good question. That was a good question. The reason why he didn't make it is because number one, he wasn't a starter. Number two, he was mostly on special teams. And number three, I didn't really expect much out of him. I think a lot of the list, AJ, came from guys that the Saints had high expectations for, and these guys didn't live up to it. When you look at people like Ken Crawley, the reason why he was on the list is because the Saints made him a starter. Okay, I mean he was a starter on the opposite side of Marshawn Lattimore in the 2017 season. You know what I'm saying? Like he was out there balling. You know what I'm saying? His first year he played pretty good. Second season he played like hot garbage. I mean, look at Ashley Ambrose. You know what I'm saying? He did really well with the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints signed him, didn't live up to expectations. Jason Davis, same thing. He got him from the Colts. Tyrone Draper, right after he won that Super Bowl with the 49ers, the Saints signed him. So a lot of these guys that you're seeing on this list were guys that the Saints expected to turn around the misfortunes of the secondary and make it a positive look, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of these guys didn't live up to the expectations, and that's the reason why they made the list. The reason why Harris wasn't on the list, because, nobody expected him to do anything anyway. So this list is based, to me, was based on expectations. AJ also says, how do you deal with a Saints loss? Take me at least 3 to 4 business days just to watch ESPN, speak to people, call my mom, etc. AJ, I'll let you go first, man. How do you deal with Saints losses?
Yeah, he take the loss like a package coming. Like you about to get some from Amazon or something.
Like a refund on a debit card.
I kind of disengage from sports, to be honest. If the Saints have I'm gonna bring this up. You might get mad at me, but that Rams championship game, bro, I was so tore from that. I ain't watched no more football after that. Man. I ain't watched the divisional round. I ain't watched the Super Bowl. I ain't watched football for a while after that. So that's how I deal with it. No more football. That's pretty much it. That's how I deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I got a platform, so that's how I deal with it. I've been my frustrations to you all, which I like to think it's some very entertaining stuff. When I go back, I'm pretty entertained by myself when I'm really off the rails and stuff like that. But before I had the State of the Saints podcast, man. I'm just a fan at the end of the day too, man. I get upset. I don't want nobody to talk to me. My Mondays suck. If they played on Monday night and they lost, my Tuesdays suck. And it leaves a bad taste in your mouth to the next time they play. And luckily the Saints have it's been a while since the Saints actually lost 2 consecutive games in a row. It's been a while since they lost 2 consecutive games. So if they end up losing a game, at least you can count next week. Okay, they're gonna right the wrongs and they're gonna play much better. So I deal with a loss. I just don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not the best person to be around. And also I like to put that passion and that frustration into my work to give you all the best show I can, so that's how I deal with it. The Truth Hurts says the main reason why the Saints keep exiting the playoffs is because of Drew Brees. He's just not getting it done in January these last 3 years. What say you? Drew Brees not getting it done.
I would have to agree with that statement. I approve that message wholeheartedly, especially after this game. Man, if anybody seen that Minnesota game from last year, me and my brother been talking about this for a while. Those 2 turnovers that they had was his fault. If they don't have those 2 turnovers, they was going downfield to take that lead or whatever. Say if they lead Taysom Hill in the game, they go to the next week and play the Green Bay or whoever.
Play Green Bay.
So
and they would have beat them. They would have beat Green Bay.
They win that game or whatever. Yeah. But Drew Brees with them 2 turnovers, he was a detriment. If Drew Brees don't play, you would pose this question too. If Drew Brees don't play, period, last year, and he had just had Teddy Bridgewater, how far you think the Saints would have won the playoffs?
Probably the second round. They would have lost. I don't think they would have beat Green Bay. I think they would have won the game in the Superdome, but they wouldn't have beat Green Bay, in my opinion. And if they end up beating Green Bay, they definitely weren't going to beat the 49ers. That's my honest opinion. Yeah. So they would have the game plan would have been different because I feel like they would have beat Minnesota because Minnesota is not really good stopping a run. They just not. You know what I'm saying? And they buckled down because they realized that the Saints were going to throw the ball all over the place. The way Mike Zimmer plays defense, the Saints offense just plays into his hands. That's the reason why every time Drew Brees plays against the Minnesota Vikings under Mike Zimmer, he sucks. Even a game in week 8 that they had, Drew Brees only had 120 yards passing. In a game that they played in a divisional when they, lost from the Minneapolis Miracle. Drew Brees played like trash in that first half. You know what I'm saying? he brought him back in the second half. You know what I'm saying? He redeemed himself, but I mean, Mike Zimmer had Drew Brees' number. Like,
he make him check. He make him check everything down.
Yep.
He put his tallest defensive ends right in the middle of the field.
Yep.
So Drew Brees don't have no pocket or whatever to throw out of, so he got to scramble. And his completion percentage go down once he get out of the pocket or whatever. Right. That's the book on how you beat Drew Brees right there.
Because they know you're not going. They know you're not going to run. They know you're going to stay in the pocket. See, you can't do that with Taysom Hill because Taysom Hill going to take off and run. And that's the reason why when Taysom Hill was in the game, he was so successful because they didn't really have a game plan for him. Nope. And he's so unconventional. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know what he's going to do. So I think the Saints, like you said, they would have won that game if Taysom Hill would have stayed in that game. Zoe says the truth hurts is not because of Brees. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, a lot of people just, to me, feel like if they say anything negative about Drew Brees or, you blame Drew Brees for anything, then you're not a true fan, or they just can't see past Drew Brees' shortcomings. It was definitely Drew Brees' fault. He played a huge role. And you can't say, if you're not going to say 100%, you have to say at least about 75%. Drew Brees holds the blame for the Saints not winning against the Minnesota Vikings. I give him about 75%.
He can have it all. I mean, people look at Drew Brees holding him up on a statue and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, Drew, I appreciate the Super Bowl in 05, but he lost that game.
Right. Yeah,
for real.
Back in 2009, we appreciate the Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, man, what have you done for me lately?
How many times can you go 13-3? That's that's the other question or whatever. How many times can you go 13-3?
Yeah. TJ says, do you think the Saints need to extend Jared Cook or not? He is our best tight end, and I don't know how fast Trotman will develop. Superstar, I mean, me personally, I just feel like Adam Trotman is going to be a really good tight end. If you're asking me, do we need to extend Jared Cook? Probably about maybe like a year or two. Yeah, I think so, man. But you have to understand that Jared Cook is in his he's in his mid-30s now. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, he's not in his mid-30s, but his early 30s. I think he's going to be 32 years old at the beginning of the season. I mean, he's a good run after the catch tight end. He's a good physical guy. He has good hands for the tight end at tight end. But I think Adam Trotman going to be the second coming of Rob Gronkowski. I mean, I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid when it comes to Adam Trotman.
He's the future, and he's still raw too. I mean, he a good, catching your hands catching tight end. You don't try to catch nothing with his body and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How he is on the blocking. Tight ends today really don't do much blocking. I mean, unless you play for the 49ers or the Ravens, and you ain't doing too much blocking or whatever when you're a tight end or whatever nowadays. Tight ends.
But he's an ex tight end though, EJ. You know what I'm saying?
Ex wide receiver. Yeah.
He's an ex means like he's good at blocking on the inside and he can pass catch. So you basically got a combination of Jared Cook and Josh Hill in one player. So I'm interested to see how this guy gonna play, man.
He's the future though. As I say that, he is the future.
Trotman gonna be really good, man. Iceman T said they need to stop all them damn handshakes and actually make plays. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
The secondary making a handshake, them boy.
That's true.
You know, like all that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the handshakes is cool and all, but when you doing handshakes because I can understand if you're doing a handshake because the play was bomb or pass deflection, but most of the time it's because the quarterback overthrow the receiver. Like, what the hell is you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just luck on your side. It had absolutely nothing to do with your coverage or your position. I mean, you getting smoked by like 20 yards, and all of a sudden, Matt Ryan overthrow Julio Jones, and you up there. Like, what the hell is that, man? Nah, get back to the huddle. You know, I agree with Iceman on that. Jared Port says, every Saints loss I see over the years, it takes a day to recover. But I took it like a real Saints fan and moved on. Man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm that optimistic when it comes to a crucial loss that I know that means something. I don't know. I'll be kind of devastated about it, but it take me a while to move on from it. Especially if it's a playoffs loss, because you got 6 months to think about it. What about you?
I mean, you have to understand the losses. Like I go back to that Rams game. That's when I never understand, never will.
Me
But the
neither.
Minnesota game, I understand why they lost. If you can understand and wrap your head around it, it's easier to get over.
Right.
So might be a day, it might be 2 days. I tell you what, if they lose and they lose bad or lose in a way that you don't expect them to lose,
Mhm.
I don't want to see highlights, none of
Man,
that kind of stuff or
man,
whatever.
for real. I don't watch nothing. I don't watch no highlights or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Iceman T also says, he says, that's the problem. This new NFL has passed Drew by. He's he's too old to scramble, and he can't throw the ball down the field. You have to be able to do at least one. Well, you got to be able to do at least two in today's NFL. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the ability to scramble. I ain't saying you got to be out here being Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, or nothing, but you got to be able to. I think, man, this is like I said, this is my favorite player that's a non-Saint. That's Russell Wilson. I love
Mm-hmm.
the way Russell Wilson plays. Russell Wilson reminds me of a modern day Steve Young. Like
Yep.
he can
That's
run,
accurate.
he can run when he has to. He doesn't look to run. He can
Mm-hmm.
extend plays with his feet. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, he does so many great things, man. Russell Wilson is amazing. You know, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he's not looking to run, but he runs when necessary. And I feel like that's a dynamic that you need as a quarterback in today's NFL, man. You can't be a
Mm-hmm.
statue back there no more. You can't be Drew Bledsoe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be Robo-Sack Rob Johnson back there no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta be able to scramble. You know what I'm saying? You got, like T.I. said, you got to be able to scramble like eggs and break fast. You know what I'm saying? so,
Tip.
so yeah, for real, man. So, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about the new NFL? Do you think that the modern day NFL has passed Drew Brees by?
Yeah. I mean, you look at it like this. How many quarterbacks you have that just statues back there besides like Tom Brady? I mean, you can
Mhm.
say Roethlisberger, but he ain't even played this yet because he is a statue pretty much.
I
I
want to
mean,
put
yeah, people.
I want to put Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger play a lot of pog ball, and what I mean by pog ball is when plays break down, you see
Mm-hmm.
a lot of his receivers breaking off routes. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to put Big Ben in there. I put like Kirk Cousins in there. Kirk Cousins is a guy that's not
Yeah.
going to try to look to run.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like guys like that. Like I don't feel like they're going to be looking to run.
Kirk Cousins,
Jimmy
Carson
Garoppolo,
Wentz.
yeah. Jared
Um,
Jared Goff.
yeah, Jared Goff. He really ain't gonna run.
Yeah.
Who else I'm thinking about?
Phil,
Rodgers, he'll scramble. He good at moving around in the pocket or whatever.
Phillip Rivers is another one.
Yeah,
People like
Stafford, he
yeah,
ain't gonna run too much.
yeah. I mean, guys like that, they're just trying to pick you apart. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they need that bomb offensive line, you know what I'm saying, to hold them down. So, I mean, you got all of these different quarterbacks out here, man, but you got this new age. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Deshaun Watson, you got Russell Wilson, you got
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen. I mean, all of these guys, even Baker Mayfield, you know what I'm saying? These
Yep.
guys, Kyler Murray, these
Yep.
guys are looking to, these guys are looking to pass the ball, but you better not try to rush them because they have enough speed to get past you. So,
And that's the thing about it too.
mhm.
This year, like in football, the defensive linemen and people on defense getting faster like every year. So and you got defensive end running like 4.6s and 4.7. I mean, if they're really fast, like a 4.5 or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
I mean, if you can't haul ass and try to get out of that pocket or whatever, I mean, possibility of you getting hurt. One of these pocket quarterbacks are real good or whatever. So you got to be athletic to be a quarterback nowadays. I mean,
Right.
that's why you see these quarterbacks who can run like Lamar Jackson. What do you run like 4.4, 4.3, something like that? So it's rare that you get a quarterback that's fast and they can throw the ball 60 or 70 yards, but these people valuable. Mahomes throw the ball almost 80 yards. And he may
Right.
not be the fastest quarterback, but he know enough to get out of the pocket when he break down or when he throw it behind him, no look pass to
Right.
Tyreek Hill for a touchdown or something. He creative.
Right.
And people like that kind of stuff.
They
You got to
easy.
be athletic these time of days or whatever. I mean, you
Yeah.
get killed if you don't
Yeah.
run the ball when you have to or throw the ball away at least.
Yep. Yeah, you got to have a dynamic to be able to scramble out of the pocket, be able to throw on a move. Patrick Mahomes, thank you very much for the $2 with your cheap behind. How you got 10? You got $500 million and you giving out $2? I'm just like,
and Pat got to break bread, man.
Break bread your day, Patrick
Couple
Mahomes.
stacks or something.
Man, but thank you very much, Patrick. He says, if you got a problem with my deal, let's box. Man, I ain't got no problem with your deal. I ain't got no problem with your deal, man.
You know, no smoke with that boy.
Right. I don't want no smoke with you. I'm happy. You know, I'm happy that you got your deal, man. I ain't never mad at somebody, you know, getting their bread and get guap. You know what I'm saying? T.I. Tip in the house. Shout out to my boy TJ for using my lines. Well, thank you very much. T.I., one of my favorite rappers of all time. You know, I'm still up at 24s right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just did that about a couple of days ago, man. T.I., you know, and 50 Cent, he already challenged you to a versus battle. Y'all need to make that happen, man. You know, so looking
make that happen ASAP.
Right, exactly. But the day of the NFC Championship, the no call, I was sitting in the living room. I took a nap after the game just to put the pressure. Man, I'll tell you what, that boy has some Phil Jackson Zen type, feng shui type meditation thing going right there, because I'm telling you, bruh, I cut the TV off. Man, I'm just so happy at that particular time. You know, I think my girl was at work, and it was just me and my thoughts. I think I cut all of the lights off in the house, and I went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was serious, man. I didn't even watch the AFC Championship game. I didn't even watch it. I could care less. I wasn't interested. I was like, I'm over it. Like, I was over it.
And you know what's so funny about that game, bro?
What's that?
I was watching the game, and my wife was watching it with me. That's like super rare. She don't even watch football. She don't even like football. When she seen that play, they hit up before the ball even got there. I'm like, then the dude went down, kicked that field goal. I'm like,
right.
Rig, turn TV off, went in the back. I ain't watch Netflix or something like that afterwards or something. I went for a walk. I don't know.
Man, I mean, well, you lucky. Look, I mean, you know, shouts out to Keitra, man. I mean, she give you emotion, okay? When she sees, I'll never forget. Okay, so this was 2018. Me and Ashley, you know, my fiance, we were watching the divisional round. This is when the Minneapolis Miracle happened. All right,
bad to work.
just like Keitra, she's not a football fan. So she's actually watching the game. She just actually watching the game, sitting on the couch with me. So I could just remember Drew Brees throwing that fade route to Alvin Kamara in the back of the end zone to get the Saints to lead. Okay, and then Minnesota got the ball. So as you know, Stephon Diggs, you know what I'm saying, that Minneapolis Miracle happened. He running down the field for a last minute touchdown, and I'm just so dejected, man. I got my hand, and I got my hand in my face, and I'm falling on the floor, and she just looks and says, "Oh wow." I'm like, "That's it? That's all you got?" That's it. She's like, that was good. I'm like, "No, it wasn't good. It was terrible." I mean, but she's just so level-headed, man. Like, it's amazing, like, how I'm just so animated and she just so level-headed in all type of situations. But I just thought that was funny. that was her response. She was like, "Oh wow." After all that, but I'm still suffering that loss to the Lambs. It's been 2 years. Let me see. And second in line is the loss to Frisco with a handful of seconds left in the game.
You talking about the one for last year?
Other divisional round. I mean,
yeah. No, I'm talking about, you said Frisco that lost when they played the. Yeah, I'm thinking if Jared Cook didn't get knocked out on purpose in that game, I'm thinking they win that game too. I obviously purposely targeted him because he was a problem early in that game, and they targeted him, got him out of the game, and they pretty much had him in that second quarter or whatever.
Right, 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns. He wasn't playing Madden, but he was playing Madden out there. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, nobody to cover him. And so they take him out of the game, and they had Kittle. Oh my goodness! I mean, they had If they even got 6 other dudes to tackle, I don't think they would have brought 8 face masks to do it. They still didn't get them down. Like, man.
Which they shouldn't have done in the first place. I feel like the damage already been done. He converted the 4th and 2. Just get him down on the ground.
Yep.
But I want to hear in the chat, man. What is your worst Saints memory? Like, what is your worst Saints memory from a loss? What was the loss that stuck in your mind? And another one that stuck in my mind was Halloween when the Saints played the Cleveland Browns. And Tim Couch. Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks who the Saints make look like Joe Montana every time they play him, Tim Couch, the biggest bust in NFL history, threw a Hail Mary down the field, and the wide receiver caught it in the front of the end zone, not the back, but in the front of the end zone for the touchdown. And I can remember Mike Dicker falling on the ground, and honestly, that was the story of the New Orleans Saints during the Mike Dicker era. That was just a straight train wreck.
I got one for you.
What's that?
2003. You know the game I'm about to say. That Jaguars game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They do all these laterals, run back the kick, and all they needed was a field goal to like win this game or whatever. I want to say they fight for playoff lives or whatever.
Right.
And they go down and kick the extra point. This fool missed the extra point. They lose the game. I'm like, man, what the hell?
Another game memory I'll get to a little bit later if nobody mentioned it. I don't want to steal nobody's thunder, but Jerry says 2010 beast mode.
No.
2011 the catch, 2012 Roger Goodell, 2013 Seattle, 2014 17 7-9, 2018 Minneapolis Miracle, 2019 no call, 2020 the push over. God damn.
I mean, boy did his. He got a list at home.
This 10 years of man, that's 10 years of heartbreak right there.
Yeah, Beast Bowl run. That boy Marshawn Lynch had that Crisco on his jersey. They couldn't get a handle on that boy.
I don't know what's going on with that. Iceman says, I think Drew's style of play stalls the offense. Your man Matt Ryan is a statue, and even he will run for 7 yards. I don't know why take a run for 5. I don't know either. That's a good. I can't dispute that. Iceman, I can't tell you.
Got no good answer for that either. Matt Ryan, we're one, and he'll run on the Saints or whatever. Say if we have an empty backfield, full 5 wide receivers. If there's a pack, he know he can get 4 yards. He gonna run and hit those 4 yards. Drew Brees ain't gonna do that.
Nope. I seen Drew Brees like stand in the pocket. Nobody he could easily run for the first, and he's still back there trying to look for somebody. Like, man, knock it off.
Throw it away or run, slide or something.
Zoe says the truth hurt. That Rams game was the ref's fault. Vikings game, Brees was getting smoked up the middle. What do you expect? Nobody planned for Zimmer to put his 2 best pass rushers up the middle. Well, look, check this out, Zoe. Okay, the Saints played their worst game of the season. When they played the Atlanta Falcons, and they did the same exact thing to them. Okay, now the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you allow a pass rusher to go up the middle at any other time, that means that you are not doing your film study. If you seen that Everson Griffin and Linval Joseph or Danielle Hunter was driving up the middle, okay, you should have learned from that Falcons game to for you to make the adjustment. So shame on Sean Payton, and shame on his coaching staff for not making that adjustment. That's just what it is. I already read the part about one with T.I. So thank you very much once again, T.I., for the $2 donation. Let's see. Iceman T, thank you very much for the $2. He says, can we talk about my farts? I always wanted to. Look, I don't want to talk about him. I'm pretty sure I'll be ripping him on here somewhere. So he's the official spokesperson for all things farts. So you gotta. I think you're doing copyright infringement right now, Iceman T. We don't do copyright infringement on the show. Okay. Master P talked about you last time. We talked about he was the original ice cream man. So that's not LOL. I see you, IB. Okay, so that was IB disguising himself as Iceman T, but shouts out to I.B. Rippler, man. Always coming through with the funny fart jokes, lighten the mood every time he comes on. I'll never forget that 9 call. It pissed me off, especially after when the Rams kicked the field goal and they were all mocking Teddy B's bicycle dance. Well, I mean, yeah, man, that was just awful. But man, I think we got to give credit to Greg Zuerlein. That was a hell of a field goal that he kicked.
Or they like 55 yards plus or something like that.
58. He kicked a 58 yard to send them boys.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be mad at that kick.
Nah, man. Shouts out to Greg the leg, bro. Like, man. I mean, but the thing about it is, like, shoot, Will Lutz came right back and kicked a 57-yard field goal against the Texans week 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, that was that was like poetic justice or whatever. But man, Greg Zuerlein, he did his job that day.
Yep.
What rookie or second-year wide receiver who you look to or think can make an impact? Are you talking about for the Saints, or you just talk about in general, Philip? Because for the Saints, the second-year guy I feel like can make an impact is Devontae Harris. I feel like he can make strides. He reminds me, and a lot of people look at him this way. They say he like Tyreek Hill, man. Like Tyreek Hill was just a kick returner when he first got into the league, a guy with real, real elite speed, didn't really have good hands, but he ended up, becoming a pretty good receiver. So I look at Devontae Harris, and another person is Emmanuel Butler. So who you think is a good second-year player?
Those two, I would say. The thing about Harris is the thing that worries me is when he get open, and he will get open eventually, especially the defenses that people play on him. You can't really guard him one-on-one with somebody because they have to be as fast as him or just as fast.
Right.
If he gets open, can Drew Brees throw him the ball?
No.
That's the question. Can Drew Brees throw the ball 50, 60 yards downfield?
Oh,
I think that's a detriment. That's one of Drew Brees' detriments, especially now that he's gotten older.
Right.
Some of his sprint is like diminished or whatever. But
right.
That's the question. I mean, does dude get open? Can Drew Brees throw the ball to him? Or if you put Taysom Hill in the game and you have Harris going, he could get the ball to him. But wouldn't a lot of people predict that happening if Taysom Hill come in the game and you run a fly route to Harris? Wouldn't people predict that though?
Well, not necessarily, man, because as you've seen over the past few years, the Saints have been using Taysom Hill in different ways. Okay, so you don't know what he's in the game for. You don't know if he's in a game to throw the ball. You don't know if he's in a game for RPOs. You don't know if he's in a game to throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like down the field deep. So I think he definitely took Minnesota by surprise. And that, when he threw that ball to Devontae Harris in the playoffs. So that's something that the Saints, can implement. And I'm pretty sure they're going to continue to implement, when they try to get the ball down the field. I mean, they've done that to Minnesota before. I think it was like on Sunday Night Football, Taysom Hill threw the ball deep to Michael Thomas. So, man, Taysom Hill can do so many different things. So it's hard for you to kind of zero in on what he's in the game to do. So I think they can use him, and not to mention somebody like Jameis Winston, on plays, can bring him in. The Rams game shouldn't even been close. If Drew Brees would have had his Monday Night Football highlights in the Louisiana Superdome, yes, it was bad, no call, but that isn't why we lost. Yes, it is.
It was late in the game. It was under a minute left in the game. Dude pushed this dude 2, maybe 3 seconds before he even got the ball, even touched the ball. So, I mean, how do you overlook that? I'm still trying to figure that out. That ball should have been first down at about the 6-yard line or something like that. They run the clock out, kick a field goal, game over. That's how it should have ended. But
it's just one of those. Well, it's just one of those things. I agree and I disagree with what the Truth Hurt said. He said that's not the reason why they lost the game. That's definitely not the reason why they lost the game. But it's the reason why they lost the game. Because if they would have called pass interference, the game would have been over. I mean, it would have been over. The Saints would have won. They would have got an automatic first down. They could have kick that ball all the way down to the zeros and kick the field goal. Now, if Will Lutz would have made the field goal, that's another story for another day. But we'll never know. But all I'm saying is, the Saints got the ball in overtime. You know what I'm saying? Drew threw a pick, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that shouldn't even occurred. That shouldn't even happen. Yeah, I mean, game should have been over. So I agree and I disagree. Okay, it wasn't the reason why they lost, but it was the reason why they lost. And since we're talking about this, and I said this before, I feel like Tommy Lee Lewis. I think he deserves some blame here too. Okay, because if somebody would have hit me like that,
I would have stayed down playing injured. We talked about this too.
I said this before. Y'all would have thought I got shot. I mean, I'm for real. Like, I wouldn't have moved. I don't know if anybody ever seen Jerry Maguire and Cuba Gooding Jr. He got hit in the game and he got knocked out. And then all of a sudden, like the crowd started clapping for him. He got up, started doing break dancing and stuff. That would have been me, okay? I would have milked that for all it would work. Y'all would have thought I was dead. They would have had to bring a stretch out. They would have had to bring a body bag out. I wouldn't even care. I mean, I would not even care. I feel like if he would have stayed down on the ground, and I understand that, you know what I'm saying? Playing football, when a guy hits you pretty hard, you want to get back up because it's a macho thing. Like, man, you didn't hurt me. But if you would have stayed down on the ground, no way in the world, like the referees would have had to call a flag. They would have had. They would have had to. So I feel like Tommy Lee Lewis kind of cost the Saints the game with that too, trying to prove that he was.
And the thing about it too, Rosie Coleman, he knew he had a pass, and he reacted like, man, yeah, they about to throw a flag on me. Then after a while, when they didn't throw the flag at about 7-8 minutes, he started celebrating or whatever. So he knew he was guilty. Everybody knew he was guilty. I mean, but it's overlooked. I mean, I couldn't even take watching that Super Bowl. That's the first Super Bowl of my adult life. And I can remember even watching that. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I don't know who performed. I don't know what the score was. I ain't watching.
I wasn't interested at all. Taysom would have run for about 100 yards in that Vikings game. I agree.
He's on his way.
He was the best quarterback. He was the best quarterback on the field that day.
He was the best player on the field, I think. When he was he was doing it.
He was better. Cousin, he was better than Drew Brees. He was the best. He was the best quarterback on the field that day. Do you think Fred Thomas could cover a baby in the North Pole with a woolly mammoth blanket? I don't know.
No, he can't. No, he can't do it. He can't do it. He can't cover. That boy can't cover a spread. Can't cover a baby. Can't cover a car. Nothing.
That man could cover his partner or the stakeout. Shoot, that man could.
If you can't cover Bernard Berrian, you can't cover nobody.
Right. Man, for real, that man cannot cover at all. The true hurts and the refs, for that matter. I guess he's talking about the referees. We saw what happened when he tried to throw deep against the Vikings. Yeah, with that ego throw. Everybody was cheering for Taysom Hill, and everybody was happy Taysom Hill threw the ball down the field. Here comes Drew Brees with that noodle on, trying to get the ball down the field so everybody can start cheering for him. That was definitely an ego throw. It was no reason for him to throw that football except for his ego. That's it. That's all it was. Drew Brees allowed his ego to get the best of him in that game. Because, I mean, the ball wasn't even close, man. Straight up romaine noodle on that play. Straight up ramen noodle. I'm like, what are you thinking, bro? Josh and Jesus, thank you very much for the $5. He says, when the 49ers broke our 5-year home game winning streak back in 2014, I'm still hurting from that one. Yeah, I remember, Josh, you actually called in on that one, man. I remember you were telling us about that when you called in, man. But, yeah, man, we talk about devastating losses. We talking about the topic was, what player on the Saints team would you commit to a 10-year contract if you could? We said Ryan Ramczyk and Michael Thomas was our picks. So, and we're also talking about the most devastating losses that you can remember from the New Orleans Saints. that kind of hurt you and broke your heart, had you calling out to work on the next day saying I can't come in. True hurts. I'm not making excuses. I just think y'all forgot it's a team sport. Sometimes you can't be putting it all on Breeze with other important players and coaches and do their part neither. Look, man, that's the thing about it, Zoe. Nobody blames Drew Brees at all. Like, that's the thing. Like, when do you ever see people just sitting up here blaming Drew Brees for a loss? He barely even do that. Like, it'll always be somebody else. So when his name does come up, I feel like people just act like you talking about Jesus a God or something. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not above criticism. And to be honest, like he played like garbage. You any way you want to slice it or cut it up. The fact is, as an elite quarterback in the National Football League, when people start talking about who are the elite quarterbacks in the league and they bring your name up, you cannot play like that. You have to play. You have to be the best player on the field every time you step foot on it. And Drew Brees was not. Drew Brees did not look his best in the playoffs. He looks pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Now you can talk about the play calling. You talk about the lack of running game. You talk about all that stuff all you want to, but look, the blame, I say about 75%, in my honest and humble opinion, have to go to Drew Brees. Straight up. What about you? I mean, what do you think about Drew getting criticism?
I do think he was to blame for the loss. He was the principal blame in that loss. I think that you mentioned the running game. I don't think Murray got enough carries, especially if you know Kamara is already hurt. I mean, whether that was common knowledge at the time, I don't know, but I know Murray didn't get a lot of carries, and he was running good. Right. Why stop doing that? Put Taysom in the game. Keep running him. I mean, you eat clock, and you get the Vikings from putting those big old defensive linemen in the middle of the field. Right. Murray's a big back, so he can absorb some of those blows and everything. That's one mistake. They keep making in the playoffs. They don't run the ball enough.
Right. The Truth Hurts. Thank you very much for the $5. He says, I love this show, man. Thank you very much. The Truth Hurts. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you being a part of the show tonight. Annie says they would have had to come get me with the stretcher. Yep, straight up. They would have to get me. Shoot, they probably would have had a hard time picking me up. I would have stayed. I would have raced myself so they couldn't pick me up. Be like, I know this man knocked out.
They would have had no choice but to throw the flag during that time. Then it would have been roughing or something like that, or a personal foul or something like that.
Yep.
Stay down and you get up, you grab a leg, or they got to get a stretcher for you and make them boys think about it.
Yep, true that. Drew Brees, I'm above criticism. Thank you very much, Drew Brees, for your $2, man. But hey, you are not above criticism, my friend. I'm sorry.
You're not, bro. Even though those Jimmy John sandwiches are good, you're not above criticism, my friend.
Yeah, and shouts out to the new walk-ons out here in Myrtle Beach. You know what I'm saying? They just open. Haven't been there yet, but when COVID numbers start to go down, then I'll make my way. You know what I'm saying? But until then, I'm in the house. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting my food through DoorDash. And thank you very much for the $10. She says Drew Brees was definitely to blame for this last playoff game. Yeah, man. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with talking about Drew and responsible for something. I think people I think people just take that too far. Like when I'm on like social media on like the State of Saints Facebook page, yeah, people like anytime I bring up something about Drew Brees or the topic be about Drew Brees, is it time for Drew Brees to go? Do you blame Drew Brees for a loss? I mean, people just come out the woodwork, man. You talking about Drew Brees? Would you talk? I mean, we look. Who cares? Like, who cares, man? Like, look, my girl loves me. Your wife loves you, right? But you know what I'm saying? Every day ain't gonna be sunshine and rain. I mean, sunshine and rainbows. You get what I'm saying? Like, it happens. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do something that upsets you. That don't mean that you don't care about them. You know what I'm saying? It just happens. That's just the way the world is. And I don't get why people just can't differentiate the fact that people can love Drew Brees, have respect for Drew Brees, but yet look at what is transpiring. The guy is 41 years old. Okay, 41. You know what I'm saying? He is old. According, like, not old as far as like age. You know what I'm saying? He relatively young still, but as a quarterback in the National Football League, he old, and he don't have the same skills he had when he was coming out of Purdue back in 2001. I'm sorry, folks. It's just facts. Father Time is undefeated. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he fighting with him right now.
Yep.
He like boxing. Shoot.
Tag Robinson, thank you very much for the $2. He says, I don't know. Larry Warford lost his job that game.
He might be right about that. I mean, yeah, he might have some truth in that. I mean, you got Cesar Ruiz. I can't roll the R's like you, but you got Cesar Ruiz probably because of this or whatever. You don't have Warford. Now you have dude they got from Texas A&M last year. You got Cesar Ruiz to take his spot. But Larry Warford probably did lose that job after this game.
Man, DoorDash, thank you very much for the $2. He says, we sick of you calling us every other night, TJ. Oh man, hey, DoorDash, man, they be helping me out, man. For real talk. When you don't feel like going out to get nothing to eat, hey man, shoot, hit up DoorDash, man. They'll come bring your food in 10-15 minutes. So I talk to DoorDash, man. Much love to them. Real man, shoot, that's the way to go, man. I ain't trying to be out here like this, man. You look like I don't want to, change, switch gears, man. But man, look what's going on in this world right now with this pandemic stuff. Like you don't want to get sick, man. These numbers are spiking up, so got to be careful out here. AJ says, could you imagine if Fred Thomas was a cell phone company? Yeah. No, I couldn't. I guess he wouldn't have any coverage, right?
And no coverage, no communication,
right?
No cell towers, nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could have a burnt phone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it burn a phone. Well, sure will be extra toasty.
Mike Freeman says that would have been my game plan. I'm not sure what you. Hold on, let me see. Mike Freeman. Okay, he says Drew Brees would have slaughtered Green Bay defense. Definitely would have murdered the Niners defense. I don't know about that.
I don't know. Niners was hot. The 49ers was hot.
I would say for the 49ers because he did put up 46 points against them. So
true.
Yeah, okay. As far as the Green Bay Packers, I agree would have put up some numbers against them because they was frost and flaky as frost and flakes could get. Straight up. I never bought into what Green Bay was selling. I knew.
I think their schedule was kind of on the. I won't say they had the easiest schedule, but it was up there. I don't think they had the hardest schedule. I mean, and they ran up against a team like the 49ers. If they would have played 10 times, 49ers would have been on 7 or 8 times, I think.
Right.
That's about the way the 49ers physical. Yeah. Green Bay not physical or whatever. So,
man, Green Bay, I mean, these guys, they basically took those boys' manhood on national TV. That was embarrassing to watch. Because here in New Orleans, the numbers just keep rising. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And school about to start too, so
he still stay down there. He still stays down there in New Orleans, man. So, man, how things out there? As far as with COVID and stuff like that. I mean, I know the numbers are rising and stuff like that. So, how are people maintaining out there?
Going out to Bourbon Street, going to these restaurants. I mean, they made. On July 1st, they made these masks mandatory, so you can't get in nowhere without having a mask. So, but they still got people going everywhere. I mean, people still, I guess they tired of being in the house. Everybody, no matter where you go, is packed. I went to Academy to get get a shirt and some shorts. Man, when I see that line was wrapped around Academy, I mean, the line was like from the cash register all the way to like the football, the cleats and the football shoes. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here. So these people, I mean, they do not want to be in the house. Yeah. As you can expect somewhere like New Orleans, they don't want to be in the house. So that's the thing.
Stubborn folks. They don't like to be. I mean, I don't just think that's New Orleans. I just think that's a universal thing.
Yeah,
people just
human nature.
Like it's just like we're talking about wearing masks. Like I ain't gonna wear no mask, but if nobody told them not to wear a mask, then there'll be some, well, I'm gonna wear a mask. They don't know what they're talking about. It's just human nature, man. I don't know if people just like to be defiant or contrarians. I just don't know. I don't know why I don't know. I'm just trying to live, man. I'm just trying to Interzone says Brady will win the division without a doubt. Well, there's some doubt in that, but I'm pretty sure that Interzone probably a Tampa Bay fan, which, you know, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Look, I don't have no problem with anybody repping their team. I just want them to use some logic and some common sense. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, if your team you feel like it is good enough to win a division, then yeah, that's fine. But some of these people be delusional. Like Falcon fans on here, like, come on, man. What have y'all done in the off season for y'all to be coming on anybody page saying that y'all gonna win anything? I can understand why Tampa Bay is excited. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got y'all 43-year-old quarterback, and he's gonna be out there. You know, he got some weapons and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. Looking forward to those games. Josh and Jesus says, can you imagine if Tony Mandrich, social media site, no one would ever block? Well, in college they'll be blocked, you know what I'm saying? Because he was so bulked up on steroids, the incredible bulk, as they called him on the front of that Sports Illustrated cover.
That boy was on them roids.
Bruh, this dude came out with Deion Sanders, Barry Sanders, man, all those different people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, and he was the guy that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But can't take that away from him, man. Tag Robinson says if the Niners don't KO Jared Cook, we would have been the 1 seed. Yeah, I agree with that.
And that was the seed that was the game that cost them that seed too. Them knocking him out of that game. Yep. Even if they're the number 2 seed, you remember you still get the bye. So that would have made a difference. So
somebody says, bruh, ain't nobody scared of that mummified corpse. Man, I mean, Tom Brady he's still well respected, man. He still get that ball down the field.
Think about Tom Brady though. I mean, you know where he's gonna be. He's easy quarterback to sack if you can get to him. And now he'll throw the ball out real quick.
Yup, Mr. 3-step drop. Cedric Mosley says, "Who that TJ, man? What's going on?" Interzone says Falcon fans are still living in the past. I mean, how are they living in the past? What exactly is their past? I mean, what happened in the past that they still need to be living for? Somebody please tell me in the chat. Somebody tell me what the Falcons need to be living on, because definitely ain't no Super Bowls, definitely ain't no championships. So what are they living on exactly? I would like to know.
Probably beating the Saints with our old players, probably.
Right.
That's probably it.
Still holding on to that overall record until the Saints in a couple of years beat that, and then they ain't gonna really don't have nothing to talk about. Imagine if Traquan Smith was a divorce lawyer. He would get no
boys going in on these boys. Huh? What's it? No separation.
Jared Poor says Interzone, and they are loving the past. Talking about the Falcons, man. I just don't get what the past is. Y'all got to tell me.
Jesse Tuggle.
Tyrell said, what are the odds Tom Brady has his own 30 for 30 like Jameis Winston? The Bucs still ain't got no run game. That's true. That's true.
I don't even know who their running back is anyway.
Me neither. He. Hell, ha. Oh, I guess he's talking about Tampa. They were up 28-3.
Man, they had T-shirts and everything down here with that. When they lost that game with them.
Man, they never, like, honestly, how can you get over that? Like, if that was the Saints and the Patriots were back, bro, I would have been sick every day. Falcons are poverty. Yeah, they pretty bad. They like to go back to that moment at 28-3. Maybe change that. Maybe.
Man, they had floats with 28-3 on them, bro, down here. That's how bad they got down here.
Oh man, that is funny, hilarious. Joe Law says that's the second time the Niners knocked out one of our best players. Anyone remember the playoff game they knocked out Pierre Thomas? Yep,
That's another one. I remember that.
I remember that.
And we still had to lead late.
Man, Mike Freeman says Bruce Arians ain't Belichick. Stop it. Yep. Oh, you want to throw the football around, and every quarterback that he get always have high number of interceptions each season because he don't want to commit to the running game. Bruce Arians only won one playoff game. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but I ain't gonna have to throw Bruce Arians under the bus. I actually like Bruce Arians as a coach. He's a good coach. Every team that he goes to, he turns them around. I will say that. I mean, when Chuck Pagano got diagnosed with cancer for the Colts, he stepped in as an interim coach, and they made it all the way to the playoffs, man. And they beat the Kansas City Chiefs that year with Andrew Luck when he threw about 1 million interceptions in one half.
Made that comeback. I think they were like 31 down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So imagine if Fred Thomas was a firefighter. He still wouldn't get burnt as much as he did on the field.
That boy sure needed intensive care.
Trade one cut, one start, one. Fred Thomas, Jason David, or my 70-year-old grandmother.
I think your 70-year-old mom, grandma can play, bro. I'll put that over those two.
Speaking of 70-year-old, my grandmother, yeah, she turned 72 today. Want to say happy birthday to her once again. But let's see. I definitely will start the 70-year-old grandmother. I would trade Fred Thomas, and I definitely would cut Jason David.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Jason, smoked turkey David.
Grandmama might have a chance at first team All-Pro before them dudes do.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody scared of Gronk. I can't wait till DeMario Davis and Malcolm Jenkins light him up and send him back to retirement. Yeah, maybe he can be the 24/7 champion again or something.
Yeah.
Joe Law, he just getting a kick out of everything. And he's talking about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Fun fact, 15 out of 16 years, Sean Payton had a top 10 offense. That 1 year, he was 13th. Let's see. So 15 out of 16 years, he had a top 10. And that 1 year, he was ranked number 13. Man, look, I don't care how good the offense is. Look, I'm to a point. As long as they got a balanced attack, I don't care if they number 1, 2, I don't care 15. As long as they winning games and they got a balanced attack, I can care less.
Mm-hmm.
I can care less, man. Like I'm over throwing the ball all over the place, man. Run the ball, please. Pretty please. Aluminum foil over a barbecue plate or Fred Thomas.
I'm taking that plate every time.
Right.
Every time.
At
least they got a good chance of what's under that plate being something good.
I'll trade that boy for a sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle. That boy.
With that syrup dripping off of there, yep.
Right,
yep. Might have some potato salad under that aluminum foil or something. Shoot.
All right, we're going to take one more. We're going to get up out of here. And this coming from DA. Says in 2008, the Cowboys took out Alvin because they couldn't stop him. I disagree with that. I mean, Jalen Smith definitely was stopping Alvin Kamara. And like y'all said, the Miners, I guess he mean Niners, taking out Jarrett. I wish the NFL would eject the players who target. Look, I like Alvin Kamara, but Jalen Smith has his number. Like he can't get past Jalen Smith. I'll never forget when Jalen Smith straight stonewalled that boy on the goal line when they played the Dallas Cowboys. I think it was in 2018, if I'm mistaken. So I mean, he good, man. Jalen Smith is good. Like he's a really good linebacker, and I'm glad that he's getting his career on track and stuff like that. He had that devastating injury at Notre Dame when he was coming out. He clearly would have been like one of the top 10 picks in the draft. He fell into the lap of the Cowboys. I'm glad that he got into rehab, got himself back to a point where he can be an elite linebacker with Leighton Vander Esch. But you know, I mean, it's just part of the game, man. You know, like guys, you know, and they try to hit guys, and they in some cases they do try to knock them out, you know, because they understand that person is an asset to that particular team, man. So but I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for your comment and your support. Really do appreciate that. I also want to thank my big brother EJ Jones for being a part of the show tonight. EJ, thank you so much, man. And let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
You can hit me up at Facebook, Emmanuel Jones Senior at Facebook. Facebook.com. I have an Instagram. I'm an artist, so you can hit me up at E Jones Art at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, I got some more, but those the big three. So yeah, just hit me up on those platforms or whatever.
Yeah,
I enjoy the time and those jokes are like funny as hell. So let me going.
So EJ Jones Art, is it EJ Jones or E Jones Art?
E Jones Art, my bad. E Jones Art. Yep.
So it's E Jones Art on Instagram and Twitter, and Emmanuel Jones Senior on Facebook, man. Y'all be on the lookout, man. Please follow my brother, man. Support his artwork. Also, man, give him a shout out. You know, he talks about the Saints as well, man. Great knowledge on the team, man. We always chop it up. Whether y'all see him on the show or not, man, we always on the phone talking Saints and sports in general. And also, man, if you're new to the State of the Saints podcast, hopefully this won't be your last time. We try to have fun on the shows, try to have a good time, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Be a part of the family, the Who Dat Nation, the State of the Saints podcast on YouTube, Facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Check out the audio version on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. And I'm also on Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play the State of the Saints podcast. It will be the most recent episode of the show. So once again, thank you all very much in the chat. And like always, I am TJ Jones. And until next time, all I got to say is, who dat?